What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ol Drunken Geek again. And yeah, man, it's been a long time. I've been missing for a couple weeks. Milky told me, he showed me the footage of these assholes, Jekyll and Hyde, with their misogyny and racism. It's almost as if, they were caricatures of people in real life in YouTube comments. But anyway, I'm back now, and we don't gotta deal with those motherfuckers. So, yeah, I actually want to give my review / discussion of Solo, a Star Wars story. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I actually really like this Solo movie, man. I didn't like it as much as The Last Jedi, but I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was the best Star Wars movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it was pretty good. It was a nice, fun romp. It had adventure. It had a lot of things about Solo that it was cool to see, like the Kessel Run and such. But a lot of things I just didn't care about, like, oh, he got his blaster from a dude. Oh, that's the story of his blaster? Okay, cool, I guess. And, he's got his name from, like, a dude. It's like, that's how the fuck he got his name? He's like, hey, who are your people? I'm alone. So you're Solo? Ugh. Puke. I was about to puke, seriously. But, anyway, moving on. The beginning of this movie kicked right off to the action, and I thought the pacing was a little weird in the beginning. But, it gave us the background of who he was before he's like Solo, the smuggler, you know what I mean? The whole movie did that, but about a third into the movie, he already really feels like Han Solo. And Aaron Allwright, whatever the hell this guy's name is, the guy that played Solo, I think he did a fairly good job. There was a lot of shit thrown his way. He had an acting coach. Apparently a lot of actors, even De Niro and Pacino and Denzel Washington, they all have acting coaches at times. Not because they're bad actors, just because they need somebody to bounce these ideas. Like, LeBron still has a coach. Curry still has a coach. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean anything bad. But since these news got out and all the drama with the movie, with the directors, it already gave this movie a bad mood to it. So everybody was expecting, Han Solo's character to be played just completely crap. And that wasn't the case at all, man. I was happily surprised. I thought he did a very serviceable job. Same as Lando. Childish Gambino did his thing, man. He was Lando. Just like Billy D was. He even had a couple little quirks, especially some of the gambling scenes that it was like, he obviously doesn't have his shit together like Lando does when we see him in Empire. But he's still pretty, he's still got that arrogance and that suaveness to him, even if he doesn't have all his shit yet. But moving along as far as story, we got to see him in Corellia. That was pretty cool. I like Corellia. I like the whole feeling of this movie because it felt like a Star Wars movie. Everything, you guys know, the ODG loves set designs and robots and like the set design. You know how all the robots look, how all the buildings look, the ships, the vehicles, all that. I love the vehicles. That speeder he had in the beginning looked very derivative of Luke's speeder in A New Hope, but it looked different at the same time, like different model cars. I love little details like that. Just pulls me into the world. And in a way, this movie felt more Star Wars than all the other movies of this new generation. Rogue One, Force Awakens, even Last Jedi. A lot of those vehicles just seem like complete knockoffs of the stuff from the original trilogy, and the vehicles in this one were like really up to par for my standards of a Star Wars movie. Back to the whole Corellia thing. I liked his relationship with Qi'ra in the beginning. It was very innocent, very teenage-like, and I like that Han stayed in that the whole time. And I like that Qi'ra's character was very tongue-in-cheek in how she had evolved in her own personal life. They didn't show us a whole lot, but it was very subtle that she was no longer the same person she was when he knew her back in Corellia. A couple of things that I didn't like about Corellia were everything in the hangar when they're trying to get away. He's like making a big ruckus and like, dude, that's the dude that's making the big ruckus. Why aren't the stormtroopers like stopping him? He's clearly like knocking on the gate, and you know what I mean? And then like the stormtroopers are looking for everybody. And also like Corellia is like a pretty ghetto-ass planet, and he was just jacking motherfuckers' hats off their heads. I don't know if anybody's been in any kind of hood situation Nobody's taking your hat off your head like that without a fight. He was just jacking people's hats. I just thought a little tidbit that I thought was like, what the fuck? And obviously, how he got his name, like I mentioned before, was so fucking stupid. That was the stupidest shit ever. Solo. Jesus. A couple of things that I did like the Proxima character. I know a lot of people online hated her. I thought it was cool. I'm like, oh, she's a worm, but she speaks English. Yeah, so do a lot of aliens. What the fuck? Their languages are all mismatched. And apparently, since Solo, they have Spanish out in a galaxy far, far away. So, you know, there you go. Personally, everything that happened on the Mud Planet when he was when he had already joined the Empire, I thought was super cool. I thought it was I had never known about Mud Troopers. I guess that's what he was. They had the masks that looked like stormtroopers, and it was a cool war scene. We got a lot of cool war scenes in Rogue One, but this one was also very, very independent in how it was. Very how can I put this? It's very original in its own way. It didn't feel like Rogue One, but it still had that, just like a dash of Rogue One sprinkled in this movie. But it was still different and its own at the same time. And you got to see how oppressive the Empire was that caused a rebellion and caused all these other things. One thing about this movie also that I think bogged it down and weighed it down a lot, excuse me, was it was a lot of fan service. I figured if they could have just cut a little bit of that fan service and given us more character moments, I think this movie would have just been on the top of my favorite Star Wars movies. Some of the characters that I felt got the shaft were Rio and Val. Especially Val. I could see, Rio was a likable character, so losing him early on would have been like, oh shit, it's a bummer, but cool, I could see it. But you lost Val. And I felt like even later on in the movie, they could have used her. Because when you get to the end of the movie, with this whole Enfys Nest situation, I hated that whole situation. And I'll get to it later in my review, but I felt like if they would have just kept Val alive through the whole movie, it would have been more impactful at the end if she was one of the ones who betrayed him. Matter of fact, I would have liked this movie to end with everybody betraying everybody. Just Qi'ra betraying him, Lando betraying him, Beckett and Val, everybody just betraying everybody. I feel like that would have given more character development to Han, because when we get to New Hope, you can tell he's a scoundrel, you know what I mean? He's just like, he doesn't give a fuck about no rebellion, no nothing. He's just like, look, man, I want to get paid, and I want to bounce out. And I feel like a betrayal of everybody betraying everybody would have just really, really cemented that. And I think they wasted a little bit too much time in, fan service, when they could have really, really just been tongue-in-cheek with that and just added more character moments. The meeting of Chewie, I thought was cool. There was nothing wrong with that. I like that he called Chewie Mangy Kashyyykin Moof Milker. I know he used the word Moof Milker in Force Awakens. I just thought was a little funny, a little Easter egg. Also, a couple of other Easter eggs. Boss gets a name drop. That was cool. Aura Singh apparently was killed by Beckett. That she got a name drop. That was cool. So over the bonfire, Rio mentioned something about a Mynock roast. If you guys don't remember Mynocks, those were the little space creatures, that the little flying creatures that attacked the Millennium Falcon when in Empire, when Han and Leia and everybody, they were inside that big ass worm monster. Those were Mynocks. So a Mynock roast, that sounds fucking disgusting. That was, I thought, a little cool Easter egg. So the whole action scene on the train, I thought it was pretty cool. It was like a heist. A train heist, obviously, but obviously in the Star Wars universe. I was hyped to see the speeder bikes that Enfys Nest and those people were using. That was cool. It's always cool to see stuff like that. Enfys Nest looked pretty cool. But it was like, okay, these characters came out of nowhere, and they're kind of like, a little trope of a villain that comes and fucks with you or whatever. But again, I felt like Rio and Val were squandered in this scene. Their characters. They could have used them for a little bit more. Maybe not Rio, like I said, but definitely Val. Moving along, we see when, Beckett, Han, and Chewie go on the yacht to meet with Drayton Boss, and they meet Qi'ra there, and, I like that whole scene, man. I like, I know a lot of people didn't like the Canto Bight scene from Last Jedi. This was a little bit like that, but this was done right. This version was done super right. And I dug it, man. I dug Paul Bettany was amazing as Drayton Boss. He was very intimidating. I was like, the Vision dude? Jarvis? Yeah, motherfucker. Jarvis was thug life as fuck in this one. He wasn't playing no motherfucking games. As far as the Qi'ra character, like I said before, her development was very tongue-in-cheek. But I felt like they gave that her whole character was Han's whole motivation for the whole movie. Because even in the beginning, he leaves her and then he's trying to get back to her. When he does finally get back to her, she's still very distant. So he's still kind of in a way always trying to get back to her and the girl he knew in Corellia. Unfortunately, what he didn't know is that girl for the most part is gone. But that sliver of that girl still exists, and that shows through the whole movie all the way through the ending, because she does have a soft spot for him as well. So I thought that was cool. I thought it was romantic. I mean, I could have used a little bit more of Qi'ra, just a couple more scenes, that's again where I think Val could have came in handy. They could have had some girl talk instead of Qi'ra talking with L3 on the Falcon. It could have been a conversation between Qi'ra and Val, and again, a missed opportunity. So, just to brush up a little bit more on the subtext between Han and Qi'ra's relationship, the moment when they do meet on the yacht, there's a glee that comes over her as an actress. I gotta say, man, Emilia Clarke, I just want to see her on more and more things because I liked her as Daenerys in Game of Thrones, but especially in the beginning seasons, she was kind of young and it kind of overplays it at some moments. In this one, man, she was kind of hitting her stride, and I just want to see a lot more of that actress, because she played very, very subtly how she was very, very proud of him for having survived, and he looked good to her. You know what I mean? He comes back as a smuggler. He's got the belt on. He got the gat. He got the little leather jacket on. She's like, okay, Han, looking good. And but in a way, she was kind of very proud of him, and I really like that. I thought that was kind of sweet. So moving on to Lando and L3 and the Falcon. I didn't mind the fact that the Falcon had that little escape pod. I just wish they would have made it something else, not an escape pod. Because in Last Jedi we saw that the Falcon already has an escape pod. What the fuck was that big thing in the front? I wish they would have just given another explanation. Donald Glover as fucking Lando Calrissian was super, super dope. Like somebody from another review said, he was like Billy D reincarnated, even though Billy D has not passed, thank God, knock on wood, not for a long time. Really cool dude. I met him actually at a MegaCon, but that's beside the point. Donald Glover as Lando was super, super good. He was so much like Billy D. Williams, it was unbelievable. Yet he had his own little flair to it, just added something to the character without taking away and without upstaging Billy in any kind of way. It was really cool to see, actually. It was really cool to see. As far as L3, the droid, I am not going to say that I like that character. I felt like she chewed up a lot of screen time. That, like I said, and I'm in love with this idea because Thandie Newton is just such a great actress. They should have kept Val in for the rest of the movie all the way till the end. L3 chewed up a lot of scenes that could have been hers. A lot of the conversation scenes with Qi'ra. She got a couple laughs, but, when you bring up the point of droids being like slaves, and you're like, oh, okay. But wait, this was way before the original trilogy and the current trilogy. So she does droid rebellion. But droids are still slaves. It's not something I really want to think about. I always felt like droids were like all like mindless droids, except for the very few that were special, like R2 and K2SO and what's the one from Rebels? Chopper. Moving along, everything that happened on this mining planet, it was kind of like, all right, cool, let's keep it moving. And I mean, the whole movie had a trajectory. We're gonna go do this. The whole movie was like that. We're gonna do this. Okay, we need to do that. And I didn't feel like that got in the way of the movie at all. That was the best way to tell that story. It's a heist, it was kind of like a heist movie in a way. Because it was kind of several little heists that happened. And, but when they were in this whole mining planet, you got to have a little bit of story arc with Chewie, where he meets his people. And I thought it was Lumpy, his son. But I don't think it was at the end because he just left him to go with Han. But he was definitely like a tribe's member, part of his clan, his tribe. Like they said, it was like his family in a way. I thought it was cool. The only thing is that character, that Wookiee character had a weird, ugly face. I've never seen a Wookiee with no hair on its face. He looked like some kind of, I don't know, like Homo erectus type situation going, Homo australopithecus or Africanus or something of this shit. You know, one of those like even before Homo erectus situations, like the real monkey-looking pre-humans. So moving along, when I say things like this movie was a little bit bogged down by fan service. When Beckett wore that uniform that you see in Return of the Jedi, that Lando wore, I thought that was a little bit too on the nose. It was a little bit sloppy. I was like, oh, that's that thing we know again. You know, you already had a couple. You already had Boss, Aura Singh. You had something to please everybody. You didn't need that costume. I thought that was too much. L3, I was glad she got fucking blasted, and you know they connected her to the Falcon, which was I thought that was kind of cool. I'm saying it's not like you didn't need to have L3 at all. I just felt like she got too much attention. Just a little bit more. They could have reined it back a little bit more. I felt like that would have been cool. The Kessel Run, man. The fucking Kessel Run, I thought personally was dope. Some asshole in another review said, oh, he just flew through some clouds. No, they had to, you know, dodge a fucking Star Destroyer and shit like that. That whole thing with the giant squid monster, that was cool, I thought. You know, it was some things to do. It was a lot of, like, flying. You know, he had to maneuver a lot through those dust clouds and debris clouds. And it had a moment that Star Wars has very rarely. That's more of a Star Trek thing, where they have to, like, fight against the gravity well. I just think that was another flavor of Star Wars we've never gotten that this movie actually, in my opinion, got right. And I know it's, like, a insignificant detail. To a lot of people, it might seem like an insignificant detail. But to me, it's just something new in Star Wars. And it does fit, because they're in space. And how, you know, like, you know, you've never wondered how they get away from black holes and shit like that. I thought that was cool. I loved the Kessel Run. I thought it was jam-packed full of action. And there was a reason why they needed to do it fast, because the things were about to explode. I dug it, man. The only thing about this movie that I fucking hated was the end. They revealed that Aura Singh was there, and she takes off the mask, and when you first see her, she looks like a mixed person. So I'm like, oh shit, it was Val and Beckett's kid. But no, it's just like, it's supposed to be surprising, but it's like, what's supposed to be surprising? That she's a chick or that she's a kid? Like, I don't know. It just felt weird to me, and that whole character to me was a fucking waste. And like I said before, at this point, if you would have kept Val, and everybody would have had like a Mexican standoff situation where everybody betrays everybody, because obviously you had telegraphed the fact that Beckett was going to betray him. He obviously was like, you don't ever trust anybody, kid. You're like, oh, so that guy's going to be the one betraying you. Okay, obvious. But if you would have kept it kind of vague, and then everybody betrays everybody except for Chewie and Han betraying each other, that I felt would have made it a lot better, and would have solidified Han as more of an anti-hero, or more of an anti-hero in the makings. He's just at this point going to be a scoundrel for the longest, until he meets, Obi-Wan and Luke in A New Hope. So another thing that bothered me with this ending sequence with Enfys Nest was the fact that Han ends up doing the good deed. And like I said, I want him to be a scoundrel by the end of the movie. And I know that they were trying to leave the movie open-ended because they wanted to do a Solo 2, which ain't gonna happen, baby. It ain't gonna happen. But let's move along. I didn't like that he was like helping out the rebels, and it's like, hey, it's the rebels. You guys know them. Like, you already have enough fan service. You don't need more. Oh, we gotta have the rebels, and we gotta have this, and we gotta have that. You already have enough. And you have a big one at the end. So like, maybe take some of that crap out. I didn't need to see that Enfys Nest was part of the Rebel Alliance. She said something about allies. I know what you were getting at. And I just wish, like, it could have been, like I said, Mexican standoff. Everybody, aimed their guns at each other. Everybody betray each other. I think that would have been cool. Especially if Beckett and Val would have been playing it like they were in love the whole time. And at the very end, they betray each other. That, to me, would have just taken it to top notches. That ending battle with Qi'ra was dope. Qi'ra and Quentin Voss, and that the whole shootout scene. If you could have had that with a different dynamic, I think it would have worked a lot better for me. And of course, you got the very, very end where you see Darth Maul. This is cool because it's bringing in things from Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. Things from the extended universe that's canon, and you're bringing them in. He had the robot legs. He lit up his lightsaber for no reason. I guess they wanted to show and make sure that you knew it was Darth Maul. So, obviously they try to leave it open-ended. That I didn't like, but I did like the fact that they included him. So, I mean, how everything worked out, I'm fine with it. I'm good with it. And at this point, this ends my review, so I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm going to go ahead and give this movie 4.5 shots. I really dug it. It wasn't the best Star Wars movie by any stretch of the imagination, but I liked it a lot more than, at this point, I can't say for sure, but I'm going to say most of the prequels and Rogue One, definitely. It still, it takes time. I have to watch it 30 more times because that's the amount of times I've watched every movie in the Star Wars, in the Star Wars fucking film archives. So, yeah, 4.5 I think is fair. Moving on to a couple of things I wanted to say about Star Wars in general. This movie, Solo, seems like it tanked. For a Star Wars movie, it fucking tanked, dude. It didn't make the money that they wanted it to make. Reasons why, some people are saying, people are still mad about Last Jedi because a lot of people hated that. I think that's got to do some partly to do with it. Also, the fact that people were arguing about Last Jedi and just got finished arguing about that in December, and now it's fucking May and June, and we got another one. People are like, whatever. And the general audience is like, we just got a Star Wars. So, people didn't dig it. I felt like they could have held off till Christmas, and it followed Deadpool and Infinity War. Like, most people go to like 5 movies a year, and they're not gonna do 3 movies within the same month. It makes no sense. So I felt it had like a lot of things going against it. The rumors of they fired the directors, and the rumors of the actors were doing bad and stuff like that. Had a lot of things working against it. Still, I think it's a pretty decent movie. The future of Star Wars, man. Where Star Wars is gonna go from here. I know that James Mangold, I think his name is, the guy that directed Logan, is being eyed for a Boba Fett movie. To be honest, I don't care to see a Boba Fett movie. The stupidest character ever. People don't like Boba Fett. Let's keep it 100. People don't even like Boba Fett. Everybody loves Mandalorian helmets. That's what everybody loves. Let's keep it G. Oh, he's so cool. What's cool about him? Oh, I don't know, his helmet. Yeah, you like Mandalorian helmets. You don't like Boba Fett. And to me, I love Jango Fett because he held his own against fucking Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones. So I don't care what nobody says about the prequels. I like Jango. That's my Mandalorian. So yeah, I don't want to see a Boba Fett movie. As far as Solo, I don't think it's going to get a sequel, even though they were setting him up for a sequel. I don't care. Like, I'm just tired of them digging into the same well to dig up more stories. Oh, more from that. I'm not saying you can't tell stories in that time period between Sith and New Hope. Just don't do it with characters we already know. Like, I didn't need to know how Han got his blaster. I didn't need to know, how he won the game with Lando, how he won the Millennium Falcon. That went exactly how you thought it was going to go, and it was at the very end, very quickly. It was like, okay, cool. They could have drawn that out a little bit more. I don't know. It's just things that they have a mystery, and that's what makes them romantic. That's why you love them. Sometimes when you see them, it just waters that down, and I don't need to see everything. I don't need to see another Darth Maul movie. I know how the whole Darth Maul thing ends. I don't need to see a Qi'ra movie. Bring new things, even if it is in an era where other things are happening. Bring in new things. I don't need to see older stuff being remixed. Yeah. Besides that little rant, Star Wars nerds need to get their shit together. What's her name? Mary Kelly Tran got fucking shitted on Instagram. She had to delete her account. Come on, y'all. Get y'all shit together, bro. This shit's not that serious. We talk about it, we could talk about it, whatever. I don't give a fuck, man. Just don't be nasty, man. These people are trying to work. They're actors. The fuck you want? You got paid that money, you would take it, you little shit. So, if you want to talk shit to me, I'm the ODG. I could take it. Fucking drop that shit down in the comments. I don't give a fuck. I'll tell you about your bitch ass. So, Yeah, man, that's a little bit of ranting about Star Wars. Stay tuned. I'm gonna do a video about the one movie that I would make an exception for. Everything I just said, no, I'm talking over myself, but everything I just said, there's one exception that I think everybody wants to see, which would be an Obi-Wan movie, which I also could do without. But if they were to do an Obi-Wan movie, there's a video coming on how I would like to do an Obi-Wan movie and little story beats that I would like them to hit. But yeah, if you like this little discussion / review, go ahead and drop a like, drop a comment. Check us out on Instagram. Talk shit to me on Instagram, bitch. I could take it. I'll tell you about your bitch ass. And yeah, man, dropping loads, Instagram. Catch you fuckers next time. ODG out. And not 3PO.
What?
I don't think 3PO. I think 3PO. At some point I did, but you know what confirms it that 3PO is not like sentient and like a being? The fact that Luke ain't show him no love in Last Jedi. He was just like, sup. That's it. But when he saw R2, he was like, yo, my buddy, my dude.
Because R2 is his buddy, his dude. That was Anakin's droid. C-3PO is Anakin's droid.
I know, and that's an argument. Actually, the whole Anakin thing is an argument why he might have a soul. I still think he does not have a soul. I mean, I'm 50-50 on it, but I feel if Luke knew that 3PO had a soul, he would have been like, yo, my dude, what's up? Yo, bad one with everybody. He didn't give a fuck if he was going to get blowed up or nothing. He was like, all right, what's up, 3PO? Little wink. What's up, G? That's it. I don't know. That's just my theory. That's just a theory. You can actually cut that and put that at the end of the video because that was a very interesting conversation and I meant everything I said. These are actually theories that I have.